Alors, tu as cliqué sur cette vidéo car tu veux savoir pourquoi 99% des étudiants, peut-être 3 comme moi, ont raté leur classe de français. I'm Rory. I successfully learned French to fluency in just 1 year after having failed to learn French at school, high school, primary school, university, and then also with private classing and tutoring. And today I'm going to explain to you exactly why 99% of students do fail. Let's get right into the video. So I've had to think about this, and I believe it's down to two key reasons. And the first one is simply the learning method, the teaching method. At school, as you know, they focus on grammar lessons, vocabulary lists, and boring videos that none of the students pick that you're just given. Now, firstly, grammar. It doesn't work. If you're trying to speak a language fluently, you can't just learn the rules and then apply them in speech, because in speech, in English, you're listening to me right now. When I speak, are you stopping, pausing the video and thinking, oh, what was that rule that applies to what he just said there? Oh, let me rewatch that video and then understand it. It doesn't work, right? When you're speaking with someone on the street, at work, family, friends, watching any videos like this one right here, you don't pause, think of the rule, and then understand what was said. You just understand it. Now, in this just understand it part, it's simply that you've learnt phrases, you've learnt sentences, you've listened to conversations, stories, and it just comes naturally. Your mind just understands it. Same thing with French. Grammar's a problem. They focus on grammar at school simply because it's easy to grade. It's easy to tick yes, followed the rule correctly, or no, didn't follow the rule, 0 or a 1. Now you'll find this is a common theme in the school system and how they teach languages, how they teach all subjects. They don't encourage self-learning or exploration into subjects that interest you, simply because if they can't easily determine between right and wrong, it's too hard for them, it's too much work, they don't want to do it. That's why language teaching at school fails so much, because if they can't put a cross, if they can't put a cross or a tick on something right away, they consider it a waste of their time. But with language learning, it's often the best parts, the most enjoyable parts, the most productive parts. You can't put a tick or a cross on whether you understood a sentence. It's just you might have understood a little bit more than before, and it fluctuates, but schools don't like that. Now, another teaching method they use is the vocabulary lists. So they'll get all of the colors in one language, and let's say it's French, they'll say, all right, blue, red, orange, and then you have to translate that to English, right? And it doesn't work simply because when you're listening to videos and you're listening to stories, you're engaging in conversation, you want to get better at speaking and understanding real French, no one ever just in the middle of a movie stops and then says bleu, rouge, and other colors. That doesn't happen, right? The words are in sentences, they're in conversations, the speed is fluctuating, there's no list. And that's where you have to learn. You have to focus on conversations and phrases, so you're not just stopping and starting throughout your learning. Now, splitting up your learning throughout a video, I've said this on Instagram and I'm going to do a YouTube video on it soon as well. I like that. I like stopping and starting on a video. Say you have a 5-minute video you find on YouTube, break that up into 5 sections. And at the end of each section, pause, go back and watch it again, right? So at the end of your first minute of watching, go back to minute 0, watch all the way through to minute 1, and then you've just re-watched, re-listened, re-heard exactly what you just listened to. But with school, doing vocabulary lists simply doesn't work, because, as I said, in a TV show, in a book you're reading, they're never just going to list off the colours or the colours of a language, the fruits of a language, the vegetables of a language, random vocabulary on houses or food or wine. Yes, certain words can help, but you don't understand a full phrase just in knowing one or two words. You understand a full phrase in hearing lots of similar phrases, or the same phrase, over and over again, in different contexts, different scenarios, different tones of voice, different characters, and that's what we need to focus on. That's what the school doesn't focus on, and that's why 99% of students fail. And the third thing is they'll bring up some, I'm in Australia, right? So I went to school in Melbourne, just in the south, and essentially for every language class I took, because this included French, this included Italian, this also included Japanese, I took all of those classes at one point during my school, and they would always bring up some token boring film, like super boring 2-minute video of, some random obscure artist from the 1800s that none of the students cared about. Like, they wanted to go out and learn about, say, real estate in that language, or they wanted to go out and learn wine in that language, things happening today. And you can learn things from the past. Me personally, I love history, but I'll pick my own history, right? I'm not going to go and learn about the history of ink in France when I could go and learn about the history of the geography of France, for example, or the military history of France, or the culinary history of France, or its food and wine. And that's where the school system, it doesn't allow you to pick what subjects you study, and it's for good reason. It's because it would be hard to grade if you had 30 students in a class and then there were 30 different subjects. The teachers would find that hard to grade, it to take more time, so they simply don't do it. They put you in a box and they say, no, you're going to learn this, so then I can put a tick or an X. Simple as that. And that's not what we want, because it's not interesting for you. It wasn't interesting for me when I had to learn about, all of the fruits of France. It's like, I don't really care about that, mate. Like, I just want to be able to speak fluent French. So that's where I went out and learned by myself, and I was able to do that. I encourage you to do the same. It's possible. I did it after failing at school, and now I speak it fluently. And now we'll move on to the second big reason why the schooling system doesn't work. And some people may get annoyed with this, but honestly, I don't care, because I think it's the truth. And it's simply that most of the teachers, most of the tutors that teach French are French. Now, if you think about this, say you were middle class, low to middle class, a bit like myself, and you want to become super rich. Well, how would you do that? Would you go to someone who just had daddy's money and grew up super rich and has never been at exactly where you are in terms of finances, not having that much, doing your best to work away and slowly build up? Would you go to that person who already had all the wealth that you want and doesn't know what it's like to build up from where you are? Or would you go to someone who was where you currently are and had to build their way up exactly as you have to get to where you want to be? So it's the difference between someone who has never been where you currently are and someone who has. Who's going to know how to get to where you want to be better? Well, it's obvious. It's the person who has been where you are, because they know that path. They've already taken that. And it's very simple to apply to French, right? If you have a French native speaker who's going to teach you French, well, you're picking the person who has never been where you currently are over the person who has been where you are and is where you want to be. Now, the French teachers are French. They don't know what it's like to learn French from English. They never had to do that. They just knew French exactly like you know English. Now, here's the thing. I found that the best teachers are the people that have learned something from where you currently are. So, for example, I'm currently learning about investing, property, other things in accounting as well. Like, I work as an accountant 9 to 5, and with that I'm learning about taxes, financial statements, numbers. And my manager, he is basically 3-4 years ahead of me. So he's worked 3-4 years more, and I ask him lots of questions and he's always able to answer. And I asked him one day, I'm like, how do you know all these answers always? Like, it seems like it's just easy for you. And he said, well, Rory, 3-4 years ago, I was exactly where you are. So I was asking the same questions that you're asking today back then. So I know the answers. I'm basically answering my own questions I had 3-4 years ago. And I said, that makes perfect sense. And it's exactly the same as what I thought for French. You need someone to help you and to teach you, to assist you, to guide you, to give you advice, to plan out a roadmap to achieving your goals, who has done exactly that for themselves first. Now, the French teachers, they never had to do that. They just knew French. From, you might say 10, 12 years old, they spoke a really good French. Like grammar on point, conversations perfect, accent perfect. And they never had to go out and learn that by themselves. They just acquired it throughout them simply growing up, just like we did with English. And that's where the school system, on a second count, fails, because most of the teachers, if I was to estimate here in Australia, probably 90% are French native speakers. We're born in France, or we're born in another country where French was their first language, say somewhere, even Vanuatu, New Caledonia, out where I am in Oceania, near Australia, or even in an African country, for example, where they do speak French as a primary language. But there's only 10% that really have learnt French, like myself, from nothing to something. Now, I'll wrap up this video here, but the thing I want you to take away is, if you want to learn something, you know where you are, you know where you want to be, find someone who's taken that path from where you are to where you want to be, where you want to arrive. Now, they will be able to help you better than someone who has never had to take that path, simply because that person will not understand the struggles. They won't understand the problems that you're going to encounter, the obstacles you're going to encounter, the things that you need to do to get the job done, to achieve your goals. And that's what, with my channel here, I believe these videos are of more help than any other private language class you can take, simply because they're spoken from real experience. They're spoken from the experience of someone who's done exactly what you need to do, which is to learn French from English. Hope this video was useful. Go through my other videos here on the channel and also on Instagram. I'm here to help you out. So if you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram, or you can also leave a comment here and I'll reply to you. And I help people one-on-one build out their roadmap to their French success and achieve their French goals. I guarantee you'll achieve them if you're motivated, if you're ready to commit seriously to your French. And if it sounds like you can send a message through to me on Instagram, or you can book a call just in the description below, and we can speak one-on-one, no charge, and I'll see if I can help you out, because I'm only going to help people out that I truly can. Otherwise, it would just be a waste of my time and yours. I value my time. I know you do too. So go through my videos here. Hope they're helpful, and have an awesome day.